Hello everybody, my name is Eric Arnold and I am the creator, narrator, run the whole kit and caboodle of this channel, Old Sports Stories. And this series of videos that I'm creating, we're entitling This Week in Football, College Football 1958. What this is a series of videos where one video will cover each week of the 1958 college football season. We're hoping that each video will be under 10 minutes long, somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes long, presenting you the games of importance of that week, highlights that go with each of those games. Why am I making these videos? Well, I think there's a lot of good old history in these newspapers that are online that are just totally forgotten. People don't know who these legendary coaches are who have statues built out aside today's mammoth college football stadiums. There's a statue there, and nobody knows who it is other than, oh, that's Bear Bryant. But nobody knows anything about the guy. So I think that some of this history is interesting, and I'm hoping that you do too. Why did I pick 1958? It's the beginning of the TV age. There's just enough video highlights to make it interesting, where it's not all still photos. It's far enough back that I would wager 98% of people have no idea what happened in college football in 1958, myself included. So there are stories to be told here that you do not know. It also parallels a great NFL season, the beginning of the TV age when the NFL exploded. That's my next project if anyone watches these videos. I am the narrator of the highlights in each video. I apologize in advance in that I admit some of the narration has a boom goes the dynamite flavor to it. We'll get better at that as we go along. I'm striving to keep these under 10 minutes. I said that already. We're planning on dropping one video a week, probably Wednesday-ish, midweek-ish, until we go through the entire 58 season, starting with week 1. In week 1, this is the AP top 10 right here. The number in parentheses is the number of first place votes that each team has garnered in that poll that week. You have Ohio State up top, Oklahoma, Auburn. Auburn is the defending champions in 1957, or they were in 57, so defending champions. The highlight of the week 1 video, I think, is some old footage of Keith Jackson. If we remember ABC's great announcer, Keith Jackson, who, well, he's before he's famous, that's for sure. He looks like he's about 28 in these videos, so enjoy that. So without further ado, I bring you our first video here in this series, week 1. Step into yesteryear, 1958, and enjoy. We begin in Columbus with number 1 perennial powerhouse Ohio State taking on the visitors from Dallas, SMU, with their superstar slinger Dandy Don Meredith. Meredith, as a sophomore in 1957, broke all the Southwest Conference passing records held by such legends as Doak Walker, Sammy Baugh, and Bobby Lane. Ohio State's a 13-point favorite, considering Ohio State's only loss last year was to a mediocre Southwest school, TCU. The smart money is on SMU. And here's how it went. In front of a record-breaking crowd in Columbus, Ohio State scored first, and they led throughout. But SMU was game, and they hung in there. Meredith was brilliant, passing for 213 yards on 19 completions out of 28 attempts, and 1 touchdown. Unfortunately, he threw 2 to the Buckeyes, including 1 to Ohio State's stellar safety, Dick LeBeau. Ohio State ran out the clock at the end and hung on for a 23-20 win. A down note for Ohio State, starting quarterback Frank Trembless separated his shoulder as the Bucks were running out the clock. Out indefinitely. At number 2, Norman, Oklahoma, is a 17.5-point favorite over West Virginia. The Sooners scored early and often, routing the Mountaineers 47-14. At Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama, defending champion Auburn opens up with conference rival Tennessee. Auburn, the 9-point pick. Auburn was named Associated Press National Champion in 1957 despite being on probation and not playing in a bowl game. Despite all that, Auburn played like champions on Saturday against Tennessee, shutting them out 13-0. They did not allow Tennessee to get a first down and held Tennessee to negative 30 yards in offense. Tennessee would have been better if they just stayed in bed. At Lansing, number 4 Michigan State, a 20.5-point favorite, wins easily over Cal, 32-12. At South Bend, number 5 Notre Dame struggled with a tougher than expected rival from in-state Indiana, 18-0, failing to cover the 28-point spread. An excellent intersectional game at Iowa City as Iowa hosts number 6 TCU. Iowa is the 6-point favorite. You know when an unranked team is favored over a ranked team, somebody knows something. So let's go to the film. After a scoreless first half, Bobby Jeter of Iowa breaks loose down the right sideline. He fumbles, but it comes right back to him. He picks it up and scores. Hey, when you're hot, you're hot. Iowa goes on to a 17-0 shutout. Number 7 Pittsburgh shuts out Holy Cross 17-0, covering the 6.5. In the rain at West Point, another major intersectional battle between number 8 Army and number 16 South Carolina. Army, a 6.5-point favorite. It should have been more. This was not close. Army captain Pete Dawkins had 113 yards on just 9 carries. Army 45, South Carolina 8. At Memphis, number 9 Ole Miss pounded Kentucky 27-6. And to round out the top 10, number 10 Washington State upset at Evanston by Northwestern 29-28. In that game, we actually have some film featuring a young and upcoming announcer named Keith Jackson. Let's go to the film. Take it away, Mr. Jackson.
The Northwestern Wildcats, coached by Eric Arnold, are opening their football season this afternoon against the Washington State Cougars. The Cougars having defeated Stanford in the opening ball game 40-6. This is the longest jaunt of the season for Washington State, traveling from Pullman to Evanston, Illinois, which is located very near Chicago. Al Kimbrough kicking off for Northwestern. Back to receive. Ellingson and Steiger, and it's Steiger with a football. And he falls down on the 3-yard line. It's 1st and 10 for Washington State on the 3 as Steiger's knee hit the ground. Bob Newman at quarterback. Fumble! That's who recovers it. Northwestern recovers the football on the 1-yard line. Let's watch it. Touchdown, Northwestern. Wilson. Going to pass. Throws it. Good to Cogdell, and Cogdell's got some room. Look out for this one. There he goes. He's got a protection of blockers now. That's only Fowler. Fowler's the only man. And it's a touchdown, Washington State College, and the score is now 29-26. Oh, a beautiful play, a great run by Cogdell. What a football player this fella is.
One other game of note, up-and-coming superstar coach Paul Bryant, he of Texas A&M, Kentucky, and Maryland, made his alma mater debut at Alabama on Saturday night. As Bryant said, Mama called him home. It's a good thing, as Alabama won only 2 games in 1957. Here's a picture of Paul Bryant addressing his team in spring practice. He's telling them they're all going to get cut. The team thinks he's joking. So here's what happened. The game took place in Mobile, Alabama. Bryant and the Tide are 9-point underdogs to rival LSU. Let's go to the film. In the first half, star halfback for LSU, Jimmy Cannon, breaks loose, but he's hit from behind by Glenn Jones. And it's a fumble, caught out of the air by Alabama linebacker Duff Morrison, who takes it all the way to the LSU 8. But LSU makes a goal line stand, and the Tide are forced to kick a field goal, putting them up 3-0 at half. As it turns out, those are the only points that are going to get, as LSU takes over in the second half, pulling away for a 13-3 win. As for that first half goal line stand, LSU coach Paul Diesel credits his special kamikaze squad, which he calls his Chinese bandits, for turning away the Crimson Tide and holding them to a field goal. To add insult to injury for Alabama fans, during the game the end zone stands collapsed. 60 injured. Luckily, no one was killed. Not a great beginning for Coach Paul Bryant. And that's the way it was the last weekend of September 1958. Next week, we've got number 1 Ohio State as a huge favorite hosting Washington, number 2 Oklahoma hosting overmatched Oregon, and the game of the week, Notre Dame travels to Dallas to take on Dandy Don Meredith and SMU. We'll see you next week on This Week in Football.